Hey everyone. Hey Professor Lisa. I don't know who else is gonna watch this, so just in case. But hello everyone. My name is Jacob Smith. I'm a finance major here at USI. I have a minor in marketing and economics. Um, I'm a senior, so woo woo. Got a semester left, so I'm just really excited, and I'm just excited to do this presentation. So I'm glad that I'm able to do this. Um, so again, my project is going to be on for my IMC project. It's going to be about Kohls. Um, I've worked at Kohls for about 5 years now. I've been at Kohls for a long time. So luckily, a lot of this is going to be a lot of my intake on one of the things I've seen, but also getting the actual like deeper level of the marketing side and promotional side of how Kohl's works. So I'm excited again, and I hope y'all enjoy this presentation. But let's go ahead and get it started. Okay, so to get started, what is Kohl's? Kohl's is a retailer company founded in 1962 by Maxwell Kohl. He was actually started off with his family. He was wanting to build out of the workshop that he was in, and he felt like, oh, you know what, I could do. He could do retail, and so luckily, at work, we really don't talk about like the beginning start of it. Usually, it's like more of like the store you're working at. But it was really cool getting to see like all the names starting to kind of mesh up again, especially Maxwell Cole. That was always a big name that I heard at work. Um, for parent company, there is no parent company. That was something that he started originally. So luckily, it kind of worked out. I thought if they did have one, it would have been like one of the other big retailers, but there wasn't one. So it worked out. There are more than 1,100 stores in 49 states, 9 distribution centers, and 3 main corporate hubs in the following. There's a credit center in San Antonio, Texas. There's the design office in New York, New York, and then the corporate headquarters and photo studio in Wisconsin. So, with all that, the 9 distribution centers that are spread around the country are depending on where most of their, I would say, bigger stores are at. So, like, depending on uh, the the section of the states. Like I know there's one in Texas, there's one in New York. Again, there's one in, I want to say, in the Midwest. I want to say it's either Illinois or Ohio. There might be one in Indiana. I don't remember the map exactly. I should have put it on here, but there's one of the things where I just thought it was pretty cool, especially because I know our distribution center is very close to us. I think it's maybe an hour. So, and I work at the one in Greenwood, by the way. So that's why I'm speaking about that. But for the 3 main corp hubs, the credit center, one of the biggest staples for Kohl's. They have the Kohl's credit card, and now it's the Kohl's Visa. So it's a pretty big deal. It's one of the bigger hubs that is one of the more important ones. Of course, the design office in New York, uh, which is perfect because now it's going to get into this next topic with Christy Raymond as the chief marketing officer. She's been doing that since 2017. Um, it's really cool when you get to see kind of like when those positions change because you get to see the change in socials and just how often those socials were used. Like I believe we'll see later in the slides, like their Twitter hasn't been used in a while, but that's just something that Christy just wasn't a could just not be a fan of using, and just probably just something that it just doesn't really bring a lot of attention. And then Kohl's uses their main internal team called the Kohl's Media Network and their ad agency since 2022. And so the Kohl's Media Network is something I'm going to be mentioning throughout this project. It's just another advertising tool that they've used for like their apps, for any kind of promotionals going on, any kind of coupons, discounts. It's just something that they've always used for a while. It's almost like another. It's almost like to me, I would think like almost another corporate hub, but it's just virtually online, and so it's just really cool. And then the picture is one of the pictures of the corporates. That's the one in Wisconsin. So it's pretty nice building. It's going to seem a little bit more kind of updated because of just how important it is. But it's just something that we'll continue to talk on and touch on as the project goes. For their brand image, there have been 4 logo changes, which will be on the next slide. And there's only been really one true rebrand, which came back in 2024, where it was called Where Families Come First after having a lifestyle concept focus. This was a target from their mission statement. Um, and so the company's colors are always maroon and white, specifically maroon 128, 051, and white 255, 255, 255, and then RGB color scheme. So with the logo changes, you'll get to see it on the next slide. It's actually really cool because the last two logo changes were pretty much the same. It's just the colors changed, but it's a logo change, so it's pretty cool. And then the rebrand was in 2024. It's in one of my works cited. They decided to change it because they wanted to again put out and make sure that they were encouraging folks that families come first. The maroon big font style is to stand out to the competition and provide a clean understanding of the store. The font is just like Target and Jeep. So when you think of like Target, their brand and their font that they use, that's the exact same one Kohl's uses, and also Jeep, which I thought was super cool. Didn't know that. Compared to the other store brands and clothing lines, Kohl's uses a style for everyday families, authentic, down-to-earth communication style. They also use appeals like feel good comparison, reason why to real consumers to understand the selling point. Um, a big thing with every Kohl's commercial is you're going to hear uh, savings, you're going to hear where families come first, you're going to hear the shop now, save now. You're always going to hear these big things about how you should save money, do it for your family. Let's keep this for the family. And so that feel good and comparison aspect comes in, especially a lot in their commercials. Like I think even their more recent one with Giannis, which I'll talk about later. They also talk about how like, oh, this is, this wouldn't happen. Like this would happen if you just went to Kohl's first instead of just doing it on your own, which is really cool because it's showing that kind of competitiveness, but also just like, hey, families come first. We just want to provide like the best structure, the best uh, clothing, lifestyle material, anything that you need from Kohl's. And then of course, Kohl's has two separate brand books, a public and confidential. The public book has information on how to earn rewards, become a rewards member, and what their identity is. The other one was confidential. I've looked at I've even tried to look on different journals to see if anybody had anything. It's confidential, so I just wasn't getting any luck with it. But the public one, again, was just talking about rewards, how becoming a reward member is pretty much entirely free, how you can build your identity within Kohl's and getting more rewards, points, access to free merch, not free merch, but free opportunities to get more clothes, more scholarships, more discounts, coupons. Just one of those cool things that you get as a Kohl's member. All right, so to continue talking about the brand image and then, of course, now their communications, Kohl's is a surround sound communication style that uses TV ads, social media presence like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok to promote the best deals of the season. So, like I was mentioning with Save Now, Save More, do these things, where families come first, that is also part of how they use their communication style. They want to put it out, make sure people know that. As you can see with the Kohl's Black Friday super deals, these are things that they want to make sure that you see. These are things you're going to see on the Instagram, the TikTok, the Facebook. These are things that they want you to know about so that way you have more opportunities to see these deals. The biggest thing is that they don't want you to miss out. Even at work, even when I'm at work, people will come in with coupons that they want to use that were maybe expired 2 days ago. Customers come first. We want to keep good customers. We want to make sure that we're giving customers the best deals that they can. We're going to make sure we take care of the customer. I hear that every day at work, and I honestly love it. I think it's nice too because it lines up with how I feel morally, so it's just always a good feeling. Some aspects of their social media that's inactive includes their Twitter or their X account, but they do use their other medias pretty heavy, so that's a pretty big style. They have added Sephora's into tons of stores, and has almost brought in 20% of their sales throughout stores post 2022. So some things have kind of changed a little bit. Sales have kind of changed a little bit, but it just changes depending on the year and the time of the year. Like when Sephora brings in Ariana Grande for their collabs and brings in, Prada and Gucci kind of collabs. Those are obviously going to bring up a lot more sales, but some Kohl's don't get, some Sephora's at Kohl's don't get those products, but some do. So it's just depends on this state, location. The Kohl's app. One of the biggest things that they use, I think I hear it every day at work, is that it's a staple. They're probably their biggest promotional strategy that they use. The app goes first. When you check out a customer, the app is the first thing we're going to mention. When you walk into the store, they're going to be like, hey, make sure you check the app for any deals, discounts, coupons are going on. And it's also used to keep track of your purchase history, your Kohl's cash, any Kohl's cash that you might be getting at the end of the month, since they do a $5, $10, $15, $5 amount that you get for every set amount of money you spend and rewards you get as of each purchase. And of course, while using the app and TV ads, their presence has increased by 10%, which is huge. And then the 5 times increase on engagement is huge. You always want to see people getting clicks, see people get more interactions on social media, and those are big things. And so, speaking back on what we was talking about earlier with the brand image, these were the different changes that they've had. So originally starting in 1946, and then 1962. Even though I know it was branded in 1960s, these are just the concepts that they have. Of course, it changed in '79, and it changed again in '83, and then '87, and now to the present. As you can see, like I was saying, '83 to '87 was about the same as how the present is. It's just the only thing was that changed was the colors, but it was one of those things that just had to do, and it worked out. And I think a lot of people enjoy the way it is now. Their social media and their layouts. So I want to make sure I put like actual images of what their social medias look like, including their Instagram, their YouTube, TikTok, and of course their X account that I mentioned that was kind of inactive now. The biggest thing is that besides the X account, everything else has been updated. They keep it updated. They make sure that everything is somewhat content related to what content's going on in the real world now, and it's always colorful. If you look at all these pages, except for maybe the Twitter, they're all full of color. There's never like a dull kind of moment. They want to make sure that they're putting out stuff that people want to see. You never want to get on something and you just see it's bland and it's black and white, or you see it's just white and some red and some green here and there. No, there's colors of everything. And even too now with Halloween being over, you can even see with how they have the Kohls mom. The Kohls mom is big, especially because now Christmas is coming up. Christmas is going to have a lot of savings. Pretty much once Black Friday is over, it's nothing but Christmas savings, and they even started it now. Even with that work, we've started getting Christmas items even a month ago. So it's really cool getting to see that, and obviously getting to see their layout of their social medias. Of course, I have their X, their TikTok, their Facebook, Instagram, of course, their YouTube. And now we're on to some more of the in-depth of the IMC. We have the buying behaviors. So Kohl's operates in both a business to business, but also business to consumers. Most majority of their sales are business to consumers, and so a lot of their sales include individual customers, families that provide a stylish kind of community accessory kind of style with, of course, DIY, but also beauty and apparel. You can also get home goods and maintenance project parts to decorate your home affordably. Kohl's is for most people, it feels like a very clothing heavy brand of store, but it has everything. Being at work, I get to see all the different kind of decorative home decor that you can have. Even like for families, like with pets, it's become very big on pet friendly, whether if it's machines or actual pet friendly items, including food or clothing. Kohl's has a big, has taken a big step within even their technologies, having like bathroom kind of essentials, and having toothbrushes, hairbrushes, different women's style like things that you just need for, I would say, basic needs. They've stepped up big, especially these past few years as I've been there. We've gotten bigger and better brands, and so it's cool kind of get to see that kind of transition. And then of course the business to business aspect. Usually it's in brand collaborations like Sephora. Sephora is in majority of all Kohl's. I think it's rare if you see a Kohl's without a Sephora now, I would say, but it's very easy for it to happen, but it's very rare if you see that. Um, and of course, they get the market support and partnerships with other brands. A lot of these tend to be like kind of physical space, packaging, and delivering. Usually, you won't see Kohl's just flat out working with like a Target for like collabs and stuff. You just won't see that often. It's a lot of times it's just for smaller businesses who maybe need space, who need help with their packaging system and delivery. Like for now, like with Kohl's, we work with UPS. Um, we work with of course UPS. I mean USPS. We work with FedEx. We work with Amazon for delivering packages, delivering returns that people bring from packages. It's it may not seem like a lot, but it's a very business to business kind of um, retail store that does involve business. And the Amazon returns is a way to showcase that. They do Amazon returns, they do FedEx returns. They've even started doing, I want to even say they started even doing like flat out just deliveries where you can get stuff delivered. So it's been a very step up in ways of how they're doing their business to business. But again, they're more of a focus on business to consumer, getting it to those customers, getting it to individual customers, families, and people who need just flat out clothes. When it comes to the types of consumers, this is where things are, of course, a little different. We have the primary and our secondary consumers. Primary consumers consist of the money conscious families and working professionals. At Kohl's, I think you can walk in there at any time and you're going to get anything that's money saving for families. I think we have brands that are throughout the store that are different from everything. Of course, not everybody can go in there and afford to get 12 Nike hoodies, 12 Nike pants. That's expensive. They're $60 a piece. That's a lot. When you can go in there and get Sonoma and get the same pieces for 24 a piece, those are big saving moments. You can get a hoodie and pants 48 rather than just getting a Nike hoodie for 60. Those are where a lot of those money saving, save now, use our discounts, use the Kohl's Cash, use our loyalty programs. That's where a lot of that comes in for a lot of the primary consumers because of just how much you can save. Um, I'm not going to read all that on that slide. I feel like that's just a lot of just filler, but I want to just make sure I talk about each thing. The working professionals, I think it's not in a sad way, but 90% of my working clothes, you'll get to see it a little bit later in the slides. I've gotten from Kohl's, whether if it was free or flat out I just had to buy it. Um, I feel like Kohl's is a very popular place for people to either buy suits for interviews and jobs, um, buying polos and khakis for just flat out just school or business or just anything that's working professional. We tend to sell a lot of it. We get a lot of cargos. We get a lot of khakis. We get a lot of sales in polos and blouses and women's tops that are more business professional. It happens all the time. I think seeing this now like online and actually getting to see numbers and seeing that and now like seeing how it translates in person, it's been huge. So it's one of those things that I feel like they work heavy on. I do want to make sure I touch on this though because of our segment that we have with VALS, well VAL. Typically it's 25, about 45-year-olds. They're found more to be using it again for work with different brands like FLX, Lauren Conrad, Sonoma, like I had mentioned earlier. Again, these comes with using Kohl's Cash, using those rewards, being frequent flyers, using that for Nikes and Levi's, and even Sonomas again for people who may not have the money to do that, but if they do, they do. And we offer brands like that, including even I think Ralph Lauren, which is a very I would say more of a little pricier brand, but it's definitely something that's still active and available, especially for working professionals. Um, but again, this is just with those achievers, especially for working environment, especially in the work environment. Ooh, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's got a bad cough. I've been yeah. Anywho, uh, and then of course for our secondary consumers, we have our young shoppers, the 18 to 29-year-olds. Um, it's very rare to kind of be in work, and I see people my age like shopping on their own. It doesn't really happen often. Usually, it tends to be more of like the family associated kind of groups, whether if it's mom and dad and some kids, or if it's grandma and grandpa with their grandkids. It's more of those kind of styles. But the younger shoppers do come in. I feel like they also fit into that achievers kind of segment, but also with the experiencers because they're now getting into their own frame of like what their fashion is, what their styles want to be, how they want to pick up on these things. Of course, like I mentioned with Sephora, Nike, Levi, uh, now especially New Balance. We have Giannis's now, so that's a big style thing. Uh, what's another brand that we have? Oh my goodness, it's another jean brand, Levi. Uh, Not Lauren Conrad. I've mentioned that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm blank. I have to come back to that because I don't know. I can't think of the brand right now, but I know it's another big popular jean brand. So of course with Levi. Oh, they don't really do tons of jeans. Dockery. Dockery's also been a big brand at work. So that's a good thing to see, especially with the working professionals and the younger shoppers. Oh my goodness, sorry. Oh, And then of course, last, the gift givers and our kind of our pickup crew. We have a lot of people who come in and are flat out like, oh, well, my mom sent me to come get this for her, or my mom sent me to return this, or we have a lot of families who come in, oh, my grandma sent me to pick this up for her, and she didn't know if she would get this or that. She didn't know if she was going to get X amount of dollars back, if she was going to get some Kohl's cash. And it happens often. It's usually, especially around like Christmas time, big holidays where people are just like, I just can't go right now, support families, and they just want to send somebody. It usually kind of happens more around this time, but still one of those things that's super cool to have. And there's just another part of our different types of consumers. All right, so yeah, to continue on with the project, we got the IMC planning process. So we have our risk and return. We're going to start on the risk side. So we have our market and financial risk. Kohls reduces its dividend by 75% in the early 2025 to conserve cash, prioritize debt. Reduction and improve its cash balance in 2025. Of July, the company refinanced its maturing 2025 notes by issuing a new senior secured notes at a 10% coupon. It moved that secured its short-term debt but signaled higher credit risk to the market. A very big, very, very big paragraph, but to simply put it, they have been dealing with a debt issue for a while. They decided that they wanted to deal with the short-term debt of what they were dealing with now with the 10% coupon. The only thing is just that that's really a high risk for the market, especially because of the way that they're run with the whole where we families come first, save now. That's just a big risk that you can take, but luckily, as of right now, it seems like it's a risk that is worth taking. The competition, again, Kohl's faces major competitions, of course, like Amazon, Target, Walmart, Macy's, excuse me, even Walmart, for all that matters, which offer similar products and even cheaper prices. This intense competition can reduce Kohl's market share and pressure for profit margins. I know for a fact, Target and even just flat out in general name brand clothing stores have definitely been sometimes a priority for some people, especially when it comes to Kohl's, because it's like I know if I can go somewhere else and get it, then I'm going to, which is completely fine. But the only thing is, for a competition standpoint, it's very dangerous for them to have that, especially like depending on where they're located. Like I know for us, for our Kohl's, we're located right next to the Greenwood Mall, and that's a very big 50-50 because the mall has everything else that you may exactly want, but Kohl's may just have some things that are a little bit cheaper. It may not be exactly what you want, but it's just a big competition thing. Supply chain risk, to manage risk, potential tariffs. Kohl's plans to reduce and order brands with sharp price hikes and keep private label products affordable. Nike, Adidas, Reebok, New Balance, a lot of those brands, like the bigger brands, even Levi, you can't use like discounts at Kohl's. And so a lot of times that it's hard to sell those products if they're already $100. It's difficult to sell a Nike hoodie for $70 when you can go and get a Kohl Sonoma hoodie for 40, or you can go and get um, a FLX hoodie for 60 instead of paying 70. They're still expensive, but these higher end private label products are hard to sell sometimes because the fact of why would I buy that if I can buy something that's practically the same and it's half the price? It raises a lot of kind of concerns. And then of course legal risk. Um, Usually it's just related to their advertising and just their data privacy, labor laws, and then misleading promotions could lead to damage and fines. There's been plenty of times I've been at work and someone's been like, "Oh, well, online it says that there's 35% off these brands." I get in the store, there's nothing. And sometimes, depending on who's what working, some people I work with will be like, "Oh, well, we're not online." That's not how that works, but it's just one of those things where, of course, it just plays a legal risk because if you're telling someone on TV that this product is on sale for 30% and they get in the store and it's not, it's a bad one. As for the returns, though, their increased market reach. Again, I mentioned it earlier with that 5 times engagement. These are good things to have, and they're getting it returned back to them, which is fantastic. They're getting a lot of that increase in market, which is very big. And again, especially now because of the engagement online, social media is run by kids, young adults, and college students. If I've seen that a million times on my Instagram, eventually I'm gonna get to the point where I'm like, I'm kind of interested. I kept seeing, for example, It's a bad example. But I kept seeing Temu and Shein on my Instagram, and guess what I ended up doing? I ended up eventually going to look on Shein and Temu. So seeing that engagement are good things for Kohl's, and it falls into the again with the stronger engagement, having these apps, having that ad and constant, hey, take a look at Kohl's, saving money, where families come first. Save now. These are things that you want to keep seeing, and of course, loyalty programs. Kohl's, I don't like to brag often, but I have one of the best loyalty programs because it's free. You can literally just put your phone number in, sign up, and you're given twice as much rewards for just shopping there as anybody else who doesn't. And so these are things that they're wanting people to do, and these are big returns, in which gets a lot of their customers to return. For example, working there now, there's times where I know that if I shop in there and I shop right before the Kohl's Cash starts, I'll get Kohl's Cash from just shopping, and then I'll get the extended Kohl's Cash for coming in, and then maybe buying some more stuff. So that way, I'm just earning tons of Kohl's Cash, and I'm getting a return on it, like a return on investment, and these are big things to have. Okay. So for Kohl's selling process, that's a lot of words. So I'm not gonna jump into each point, but I'm just gonna brain kind of give like rundowns of each thing. We start off with the greeting and offering. When you walk into Kohl's, the first thing you're gonna see realistically is you're supposed to have, whether if it's a manager or just a flat out associate, you're gonna get greetings. Hey, welcome to Kohl's. What can I help you with today? If you need any help, just let someone know. We'll be able to help you and assist. Let's say someone's like, oh yeah, I do need help, assistance. Well, okay, what is something that you're wanting to look for? Is there a brand that you're needing? Is it clothes? Is it a home decor? Is it pet and design? Is it home technology? What else can we do? You'll slowly go down the line. You'll get to eventually pricing and sizing, depending on some people's preferences and what you're getting. Some people just like to know, okay, how much is this? Can I use discounts on it? If I can, how much would it take off? And of course, some people, especially if you're shopping, especially in like the big popular brands, Lauren Conrad, Nike, you're gonna hear, oh, do they have a large? Do they have a small? Do they have an extra large for my son? These are things that you can look at. At Kohl's, we use Zebras. They're kind of like Samsungs, like the bigger kind of old version of Samsung phones that we use at Kohl's. Questioning. It's not an interview. It's not like an interrogation. It's just a flat out asking questions of like, okay, so like, if we don't have it here, would you mind going to another store? Would it be fine if it's delivered? Would it be fine if it's shipped to the store and then you pick it up here? And usually that just depends on the situation. Now we get to the beginning of it, the start of sale. The minute someone starts and at a sale at a register, the first thing we're going to ask is, hey, do you have a Kohl's rewards? Most of the time, people are going to be like, yes, I have rewards. You'll be like, okay, go ahead and type your phone number in. If not, what we'll do is we'll scan our little QR code for rewards, and we'll be like, hey, go ahead and put your phone number in and put in a good name, and boom, you'll be set. For the middle of the sale, that's when things start to get interesting, because now you're at a point where if someone doesn't have it, it'll show it by now with the rewards if they have a Kohl's card or the Kohl's Visa. And with the Kohl's card and Kohl's Visa, it's like a regular credit card. It's just that it's for Kohl's. And so you'll ask them if they have it. If they don't have one, they could save automatically 35% at the store. I think it's 30% now. They automatically save 30% off their purchase right then and there. So like they spend $100, they can save $30 right off right then and there if they just apply. If they're approved, they'll save 40%. So they'll save $40 instead of the 30. And that's usually the middle of the sale. That's something that we pitch. Hey, well, do you have a Kohl's card? Well, if you sign up today, you'll save $48.94, whether if you're approved or not. That usually is something that we offer to people. Some people ask, oh, is it a credit card? And of course, we'll be like, yes, it's a credit card. They'll either A, no, I'm good. B, okay, yeah, I can do that. I just paid off a credit. It just depends on the person. End of the sale, you get your receipt. You're gonna get your Kohl's cash for the purchase that you just made. Every $50 spent, you get $10 back. So it's a great kind of incentive. And you'll get your receipt. At the bottom of the receipt, you'll get you'll get the link where you can rate your experience and talk about your experience at Kohl's. And then, of course, you have your rewards checkpoint, which is online. You'll be able to see how much points you just earned, how much Kohl's cash you're getting closer to earning more Kohl's cash, and getting to see all your different rewards that you've gotten for that purchase. And then online, you get to shop online now. So like it's like, oh, okay, if I wanted to get this pair of shoes that they didn't have stored, but they said they were online. I can go and get in shop now, use the rewards I just got from that purchase, throw it onto there. It's a continuous process, and then it starts right back at the beginning again when you come into the store. So it's a great process. It's great, something that some people use, and it's just a good flat out way to use it. Then we have our marketing budget. Like I mentioned at the bottom, these are rough calculated estimations due to their budgeting not being available online. I don't know why they don't have it online. It's weird because if I go to my store right now and I ask for those numbers, they would most likely give it to me. But it also could just be I've been there for a while and they know I wouldn't use it in a bad way. But what I did was I just looked up online how much the average spent at Kohl's would roughly be, and I got 100 million. And so I was like, okay, well then let me just start doing numbers on what's publicly online, whether it's through TV ads, social media, and print. And I was able to get these numbers down. So they're spending roughly 12 million on print, 20 million. If these were exactly 100 million, of course, 20 million at least on TV, 18 million on their social media and their content, and then of course the 50% on the digital, including like digital ads. Um, uh, sorry, big time ads on any type of digital aspect, whether that's at different websites, restaurants, all these different things. And so this was just a rough estimate, but hopefully it covers what it needs to. Um, I've tried. I even tried to get information from where I worked, but I just felt like that wasn't enough. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do with the best next thing and just do that. So that's the budgeting. The IMC advertising tools, the means ends chain. On this link, it's just a video explaining uh, how like the app is used and how you can use it in different ways to look at the different stores that you can shop at, uh, what awards are going on, how you can scan tags at stores, sizing, colors, different just products, how it can get delivered, where it can get delivered to, where you can pick up from, where you can pick up to go, all these different things. It's just a more in-depth version of what the app is now, and that's kind of what their means ends chain is. Of course, you can look at that link. It'll just take you to the website, not website. It'll take you to the YouTube, and it talks about the app and how it's used. And then, of course, to continue on these tools, the on-site advertising. So, of course, their product listings, brand pages, email, app, and notifications. Their product detail. I meant to say page. I guess my got cut off. But email and their app is probably one of the biggest things that they use. I get notifications still to this day on my email about different percentages off, and even my apps on my push notifications. You see that 24/7. I think I just got one today talking about how there's eventually going to be a 20% coupon coming out due to the savings sales for Thanksgiving. So that's a pretty big deal. I know usually like a few weeks before Black Friday, it's usually kind of rare that they put out a lot of stuff because of Black Friday sales, but it's a big thing. When it comes to their offsite advertising, this is something that I was worried about, but they've stepped it up in the past 2 weeks, and I'm really glad about their social media and influencer promotions. So I don't know if you've ever watched this, Professor Lisa, or anybody else who's watching this, but Love Island, one of the biggest shows that happened over the summer. One of the bigger actors on there, his name is Jeremiah. He is a model. He modeled for Kohls a few years ago, I think, and so they used his modeling pictures on a lot of his commercials and brands that they use for Kohls, and it was a big success because like, oh, people know who that is. The biggest thing is that when people know who people want to shop, people want to do these things. So it was super good to see that. Um, Ellie Kemper, she does the voiceover. A lot of like she kind of sounds like the voice off of the Jet 2 Holiday, but it's a lot different, of course. So but her voiceover is always in Kohl's commercials. They use it in practically every commercial. I think there's very rare that you don't. The only commercial they don't use it in is his most recent one with the next player, well, next person. His name is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's an NBA player. He was an actor in this most recent commercial with the Kohl's mom. It was talking about the Christmas sales and how Christmas coming up and how you can get all these different sales. It's a great commercial because they need to use people that people know from every outsource of thing, like how Nike uses different athletes for different sports and it gets all the athletes to come in. It's the same with this. Using someone like Giannis is a huge thing because a lot of people are NBA fans. A lot of people know that. And Giannis is from Greece. So if people from Greece are seeing that this great NBA player, who's one of the best players in the league, that's a 10-minute conversation I can have, but I'm not going to do that. He's one of the best NBA players in the league. And so seeing that from a home country standpoint would make you want to shop even more when you come to the States. Seeing that, especially if you're from Greece and you're now in the States, you're going to see someone that you know. These are big things to have, and that's something that I'm glad that they're implementing. And then, of course, they have their streaming services that they use, like Netflix, Hulu, Peacock. You see Kohl's ads all the time. And then their website ads. I think if I went to Walmart, they probably wouldn't have it. But if you go to like maybe like a Red Robin or just like another site, just regular sites that just show ads. They show ads all the time. Kohl's is always popping. And then, of course, again, that media network that Kohl's uses as their main advertising tool. They use that to get all advertising out. It's a big thing that they use to push onto all these different social medias, all these different apps, websites, ads, all these things. It's a big, big part of it, and that's just something that they use. Okay, so to continue on, now we're on to taglines and slogans. Probably one of my favorite parts about looking at this project because I just thought it was really cool. Some of their more notable slogans of the years: expect great things. Kohls. It's always big in every commercial they use. The yes you can and yes we can. This is something that I was really excited to talk about. So online and in commercials, it's always yes you can. It's to show and like empower people to realize that hey, you can save money, you can do these things, you can shop at Kohl's and get these benefits, and it's been great. I'm glad that it's something that they use, but something that from the opposite end of me being a worker is we use the yes we can. So at work, let's say someone comes up and they're like, hey, online they told me these shirts were $8.99, back their price $11.99. That's one of those things where we're like, okay, that's fine. We'll just change it on our end. And so when we change the price on our end, it gives us like a different drop down of like, oh, was the signing wrong? Was it misplaced? All these different things. But we have a button at the bottom. It just says yes, we can. And on the yes, we can, it's just and when we tap on it, it just says, hey, in this situation, a customer came in, something was wrong, and you knew that we could fix it. Is this a yes, we can? You tap in yes, and boom, it's a yes, we can moment. It's one of those great things that we get to use at Kohl's. So it makes not only just us feel good because it's like, oh, we're helping the customer, but it's also like the system that we use for Kohl's, the Mazdiv uh, tech that we use for Kohl's is also telling us like, hey, great job. You noticed that this was a yes we can moment. You use that. Great. Fantastic. So I just thought that was really cool to throw in. It may not be a slogan that people know about, but it's a slogan that I know working from. If you worked at Kohl's, we know about it, so it's a great thing to see. Where families come first, I've mentioned it the entire project. Where families come first. It's big. It's one of the biggest things that they use, and it's awesome that they use it because it just, again, aligns with a lot of people's morals about, hey, we want to save money. We want to do what's best for our family. Families come first. There you go. It's perfect. And then, of course, when life gets real, start here. This was released also around the same time with the 2024 rebrand, um, and so it's the same impact. When life gets real, you start here. When stuff starts getting more expensive, clothes start getting tight on kids and families. People want to get new clothes, want to go shopping, get these new different styles. Start here. Start at Kohl's. Get that head up on the game. Make your standpoint. Step on it now. And so I put in the notice any trends because you notice with expect great things. Yes, we can. Yes, you can. When families come first, when life gets real, it's always about improving constantly over and over and over. And it's always positive reinforcement. There's never like hey, don't do it. It's always like, go for it. Do it. Do what's right for you and do it in the best way possible. And I love it. And so it's one of those good things I wanted to put on here because it's just a trend of like nothing's changed. The baseline of what they're wanting to do and give to people is nothing has ever changed. It's just the words have. And they're constantly reintroducing that over and over and over. And it makes shopping smart. It makes people want to do things. And it makes people want to shop at Kohl's. Their advertising design. As you can see in these photos, these are all from their Instagram alone. They stand out. They show what people want to see, and they're flat out just good pictures to see. You see, there's kids smiling. That's a great thing to see when you want to use and see like, oh, are my kids gonna be happy using these products, or they're gonna be happy when they get these new Christmas clothes. The dog, you may not be able to see it because of my head in the way, but it's okay. But there's a dog dressed up in like a turkey like onesie to showcase like the Thanksgiving coming around. And then of course the get $10 Kohl's cash when you spend 25 or more. That's big because of that coupon that dropped a few weeks ago. But These all showcase into the cognitive, affective, and connotative uh, advertising styles and strategies. Of course, cognitive is the earn $10 for every $50 spent, emphasizing that value into getting and spending money, but also being like, hey, you spend money, you'll get it back. That's reassuring and giving that cognitive thought process of like, you'll get it back, you'll get it back. The effective is when life gets real, start here. These are things where it's slowly trying to tell you and get you to feel like in that effective mode of like, if I start now, if I do this now, all these different things, and these are great things to start at. And so it brings out that happiness, but also that emotional side of like, hey, we want what's best for you regardless of X, Y, and Z. We just know that if you start here, this is the best way to start, and that's all they ask. On the cognitive side, about finding your style, join Kohls. They're encouraging you to do these things, to take that step and move forward, be proactive in your step, and enjoy it. Find that style, join Kohls Rewards. Be okay with shopping now and encouraging your response time to be, let's go now, let's get it going, let's get it going. And then of course, using all three of these strategies, uh, they were all of them are great, but they're relying heavy on the cognitive, and I would say cognitive, because they're wanting to encourage you. Hey, if you're going to spend this money, get it back. If you're going to do all this stuff, buy all this for your family, support the family you need, get as much as you can back. Because in the day, you don't know when something's going to ever get like a back on return on investment. You never know when these things are going to come back. Get as much as you can. So they're constantly encouraging that. They're constantly using that as a core for their advertising style. And I feel like on these designs and on this message strategy, they want to make sure that cognitive is number one, connotative, and then effective, and then you can follow along with everything else that goes under. For the traditional media mix, as you can see, we have the TV ad, radio ad, and of course the print and slash in-store pictures, which is on the left side. That far left one in the bottom left corner, the 30%, $10, 15 Kohl's cash, 10 off. That's a traditional printed email catalog that we see customers with all the time, 24/7. We'll see that all the time. We have the doorbusters, which is more of like I would say that's more of like an in-store kind of graphic that we use in our marketing strategy for in-store stuff, which is great. We use our in-store marketing using those kind of signs, and then of course we have the billboard sign with "It's cool to be careful" because we have Kohl's Cares, which is a donation supply drop that we use where people can buy like plushes and they go strictly to donations. You can't use Kohl's cash, you can't use discounts on those. That money is straightly directed to Kohl's charity and all the different funds that they use to send to those charities. It's a pretty big deal. The TV ad is the one that I just talked about with Giannis, and then the radio ad is just talking about how if you had to do like I think it was like I want to say it was a podcast in 30 seconds. It's a great kind of funny radio ad, but it's just using that emotional side of thing to just influence people to want to shop, to use that overall branding of hey, shop here, shop with awareness, shop here at Kohl's, use that throughout your time, and it's just a big thing. I feel like that just showcases the media. And then of course we have our digital, social, and alternative media mix, which is like our digital ads, which is like that one in the middle, the social media ad, which is the one at the bottom and the top, and then of course content, which is also both the top and bottom because of just how heavy content is on TikTok and Instagram. They showcase by making sure that they show off deals, products, saving methods, and how to get customers the best prices that they need and that they deserve. I enjoyed the look that they have as they each try to stay clean, updated, and easy to read. Christy Raymond has a deep understanding and encourages her team to stay positive and always look for the ways to improve, which I personally enjoy. Took the words out of my mouth. I mean, I typed it, so yeah, that's literally how I feel. And it's clean, it's easy to read. If I showed you a Kohl's ad today, nothing on there would be too small to see and too difficult to read. It might seem like on this presentation, but from a personal ad standpoint, from looking at these things, these are things that you like to see, and it gets people to understand because you're dealing with all different age groups. You're dealing with kids all the way from 16, 15, 16 years old, all the way to grandparents who are almost 80, 90 years old. I've seen both sides of the spectrum come in, and I know that no matter what, if it's easy to read, it's easy to understand, and it gets people to want to buy it. So for excuse me. So for This project, I know we had talked about we needed an interview and we needed a academic scholarly journal, and I'm going to be talking a lot in a second. And so I was like, this is perfect. I work at Kohls. This won't be too difficult. I ended up, what I actually wanted to do first was I was like, I'm going to go looking for a journal. I looked for a journal. I was looking for all these different Kohls journals. Nothing really popped up. And then I seen hiring women in professional job standpoints and having higher positions in these jobs. And it was a journal by Lawson. There was a ton of different editors on there, so it was a great book. I think it had Lawson, it had Mads, it had I want to say there was a Chris. There was a ton of different editors on it, but it grabbed me the minute I seen it because I was like, oh, I work in a place where one of the three big dogs that I have that I work with as my boss and my managing is a woman. And then all the leads that work in the store that are still above me, depending on when I'm interning or not, are all mostly women. I think there's maybe two that are male. And so I'm like, this is perfect because I work with nothing but women. So I was like, this is a perfect way to use this and use this for my interview, who I did with Cheyenne Anderson at the Greenwood Kohls. So because I'm obviously in Evansville, it was just a phone call. And then whenever I couldn't get on the phone call, we just texted back and forth. So I was able to get these quotes and ask her, hey, is this fine if I use this for this project? It was great. And like I said, the phone interview was based on my academic journal, hiring women into senior leadership positions is associated with reduction in gender stereotypes in organizational language. I wanted to make sure that I emphasize that because we wanted to do a journal, but I also wanted to do an interview. And I was like, I don't want to just do an interview about Kohls. What if I do a mix? It's a journal and the interview. So pretty much I asked her, how could she tell me about her current leadership? She told me that she had been with Kohls for 11 years. She's been store manager for the last 8. She started as a sales associate. And while in college at ISU, she worked her way up through the department and became an assistant management role. She's had great mentors. So Kevin is the official store manager at Greenwood, and he's helped big time with her leadership skills. The study by law suggests that hiring more women into senior positions reduces gender stereotypes in the workplace language. Have you noticed anything like that at Kohls? Because she's been there for a while. Definitely. I've noticed a big shift in how we communicate both in meetings and corporate messages. The language is more inclusive and people focus now instead of just talking about sales goals numbers. And we talk about team success, customer experience, and supporting each other. Having women in leaderships has made the tone more collaborative and less hierarchical. Hierarchical. I definitely said that wrong. Hierarchical. I don't know how to say the word. I'm sorry. It's been a day. But hierarchy out at the end. So, but pretty much just explaining that is just that times have changed. I think she's been there. She's been there again for 11 years. So that would have been in 2014 when she had first originally started. Things have changed big time, especially with the world. And I feel like this was a great article to base off her questioning because if she's been in 8 years of it, I know she's experienced 8 different years of different stereotypes of being a woman who's a assistant store manager, which is a big position. And so I knew that this is perfect to have her interview. Have you experienced or observed gender stereotypes in your career? Early on, yes. When I was a manager, when I was an assistant manager, some employees assumed that the manager had to be the male and looked past me and male coworkers. And over time, a lot of that changed. Kohls made great progress in training and communications to make sure leadership was recognized for ability, not gender. Especially since I'm not the only woman working in a higher position. I mentioned that earlier. A lot of the leads that I work with in store, including like Kim or Barbara, Shania, Hannah, these are all women that I work with that are also lead positions at different departments of the store. And seeing that, I think, also helped. And plus, this is also another like fun kicker. When I first got hired on, the first person I met was Cheyenne. So to me, it just like it threw out that whole identity of like, oh, if it's a male in here, that means they're my boss. It threw that all out because the first person I met was Cheyenne, and then the second person I met was Anna, who was also a store manager. Well, she was one of the assistant store managers at the time. So it just worked out that I'm like, oh, I've worked in places where it's been run by women, and I don't have no problem with it. So uh, it says, what challenges have you faced as a woman in leadership and how did you overcome them? She was like, balancing work and personal life can be tough, especially when you want to prove yourself by also being a mother to show that to her son. I've learned to set boundaries and lead by example by showing my team that you can be successful without burning out. Having support or upper management makes that easier. Cheyenne's had plenty of it. She's had, before even Kevin, and we had a guy named Levi who's our store manager. he was always big on making sure that Cheyenne was putting her health first, being big on making sure you do what you can. Cheyenne just became a mother not too long ago, so it's always been constantly, especially now, like finding out how she can, be there for her son, but also be at work, showing that leadership involves being at work and at home. It's great to see. And then, of course, finally, how can an organization like Kohls continue to support women in leadership, keep promoting from within, offer flexible work options, and make sure leadership development programs are accessible? Also, celebrate women's success openly because it inspires others to follow that path. We do that here, and it helps. I know for sure there's been times when I've been at work, whether it's during the summer, during uh, different months, especially like Breast Cancer Awareness Month. These are things that we at work talk about, and they're made sure they're talked about prior, especially before store opening, because we work with so many women. We want to encourage the people we work with, and I feel like this was a perfect opportunity to talk to somebody. And I'm like, oh, they would understand this entire interview. They would understand this entire journal that I just went through. They would understand that some of these questions are going to seem a little bit like deeper, but I knew that she was capable of it. And so at work, it's good to just finally see that the things that you see at work is finally getting put out somewhere, and that what she's doing is great. So again, shout out to Cheyenne. She saved me. This is a big help for my project and just for this journal. And so thank you. And we can go ahead and continue on. So to continue on, sales and database mining. What tools does Kohl's use to retain and get people to shop again? These are some of the coolest things that I get to talk about because I feel like I get to see it in person. So we have the customer loyalty programs, we have our email marketing, we have our personalized shopping experience, cookies and online tracking, mobile apps, and then of course customer surveys and feedback. Loyalty programs. Again, that's the biggest thing that you can get when you sign up at Kohl's. When you sign up at checkout, you can even sign up beforehand, but I think shopping at I think doing it at checkout is even better because you get to see the deals happening and you get to actually understand what's going on. But that's where you can get Kohl's off, Kohl's off, Kohl's cash off. You can get deals. You can get all these secret discounts that go on, especially if you're a card holder or Visa holder, and you just get to see all these underlining deals that you just get from just being a loyalty member. Plus, there's just sometimes where if you type in a phone number, you'll just get certain percentages off because you're a Kohl's member. Email marketing, like I mentioned earlier, I get emails probably every 2 days about different discounts going on, coupons, promotions, sales. Big way of. I think it's probably their biggest tool they use to retain and keep people, especially like the working force of people who are working constantly and have jobs and are constantly checking their email. You're constantly going to see calls, so it works out perfectly. The personal shopping experience. Sorry, you get to kind of see all the different products and all the different things that are mainly prioritized when you're shopping online. Um, Something I know that for at least for me, when I've bought like different shirts online, it tends to show me a lot about their graphic shirts and graphic tees that they have online because of the fact that I've bought it. When you're buying things online, when you're constantly adding things to your cart online, when you're constantly doing anything that involves the fact of like, oh, you're getting to that point of shopping, they're going to not necessarily just memorize it, but they're going to offer you different suggestions since you've liked something else. I think there's even a tool on the app where you can like certain brands, and that way you even get more of those brands that just come out and drop, and that way you know when these things come out. Cookies and online tracking, of course, when you're using their website, they're going to offer to use offer cookies and being able to keep that so that way they know what data is being used, how many times you've viewed, how much time is spent on the app, what the shopping experience may look like to you compared to someone else. It's just to keep your retained information so that way they know. The mobile app, the biggest thing that they use, Kohl's is going to use that app 24/7. It's the biggest thing that they use, and they want to make sure that they use that as kind of like the new norm for shopping. And anytime I'm at the register and I'm working, or anytime I'm helping out a customer, I'm always going to ask, "Oh, do you have the Kohl's app?" Because that to me is the best way to get the best deals, see everything that's actually updated online. It's clear, it's cut, it's to the point. You never have to worry about anything being backwards. And of course, customer surveys and feedback. We offer on the end of our receipts a link where people can go and scan, and you can do flat out feedback and surveys. Um, you can rate the checkout system, who you checked out with, would you give them a 5 star? You can rate how the store is, whether it's clean, filthy, bedridden, all over the place. perfectly designed. You can give any type of feedback, and then of course I think even on the app itself, you can give out feedback about certain clothes you've had, um, the different shopping experience you've dealt with. That way, you're just not just talking and you're just like, oh, X, Y, and Z. That's how I feel, but I had no way to prove that, and you can do that, and that's perfect with how this database mining and sales mining goes. As for promotions, public PR, and sponsorship programs, uh, and of course damage prevention measures, the biggest focus is going to be LP. LP is pretty much our security in store. This is unfortunate, but the store in Greenwood has no LP. It's very rare if we ever have LP for any experience, like extended long period of time. Usually we only get LP around big seasonal times, so like Black Friday, Christmas, Easter, summer promotions, because it's just hard to find LP. But usually at bigger stores, especially in bigger cities, you're going to have LP loss prevention. They're going to make sure they're keeping track of people stealing, looting, any of that jazz. They don't want people just running in and stealing anything. Um, Employee training and awareness. We have training on everything, whether it's something happens at the store, how to deal with certain customers, the different types of customers we deal with, gender, all these different things. Anything that's just going to cause customers to feel unwelcomed, we're trained on. And anything that's going to cause customers to feel more welcome, we're trained on. You can't train everything, but you train most things. So it's definitely something that they target. It's something that we target. Surveillance and security technology, they've stepped up big with technology. We have cameras, I know at least in our store, at like the bigger functions, so like technology, Amazon pickup and delivery, pickups in general, customer service, big places where a lot of the bigger kind of stealing opportunities would happen. And then of course customer return, like I mentioned with Amazon and FedEx from earlier, you can return these different things, verification, and we're going to ask for ID. We're going to ask for proof. We're going to make sure that you're just not bringing in something that you just found on the side of the street, or something that you stole and you're bringing back to get money back. We just can't do that. So a lot of times, if someone doesn't have a receipt, then um, then we have to do non-receipt, and they'll just get in-store credit. And then most of the time, they have to have an ID. If they don't have an ID, usually it's not going to fly. Manager has to come in, and they're going to ask for any type of identification, whether it's a birth certificate, Social Security, something. And then of course community engagement. Kohls is, especially at our store, I feel like we're big on wanting to make sure we get surveys, we get feedback, because then we want to know what's working, what's not working. And so I feel like every Kohls tends to do that pretty heavy. When it comes to sponsorship and public outreach, so we have Kohl's Cares and Sephora at Kohl's. I'll start with Sephora. Sephora is the biggest and probably most successful co-branding partnership they've ever had. Um, Sephora is one of the biggest things that they've had because of the fact of it brings in a lot of that younger audience, especially when Sephora brings in collabs with the younger audience. So like Sabrina Carpenter, Ariana Grande, Rihanna. These gets people to come in. So Sephora being at Kohl's is one of the biggest things they've had. Luckily, I was there right before they even added Sephora, so you got to really see a big difference with the age group. It did ruffle some feathers because it got rid of our big jewelry counter, but I think Sephora probably has brought in probably 10 times as much compared to that jewelry counter. So it's one of those things that's kind of nice. And of course, Kohl's Cares. Kohl's Cares is a long-running community that pretty much 100% of the profit is donated to children's health support, education, and flat out just well-being. Kohl's Cares is one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to witness. It's a opportunity where you can buy like kids books, plushies, and these kid like kind of like artique kind of items, and they go directly to Kohl's Cares where they're donated to funds and charitable funds. And it's one of the cool. It's just a really cool aspect that they have, and I'm glad that Kohl's does it. As for promotion examples, I got two pictures of myself, and then I don't know who that guy is. I think a friend of mine, her name is Peyton, who's in here. I think we named him Brandon. So Brandon is with some of the Kohl's t-shirts. But for our promotion examples, we have Kohl's Cash, which is, again, earn that Kohl's Cash. You earn Kohl's Cash for every $50 spent, you get 10 back for the most part. Usually that happens all the time. Then we have our Kohl's Rewards program where you can earn 5% rewards on every purchase. If you're a Kohl's card member, you earn double, so you earn 10%. Our merchandise, as you can see, I'm in some of the merchandise. So in the picture on the left, I have on the Kohl's Christmas shirt. It says Kohl's Carols, and then it has that logo on the front, and then on the back it said Kohl's team, and it had kind of like the Christmas kind of like tree decoration kind of going down, and then my badge, and then on the picture on the right in the middle, I have on my Kohl's badge with my Kohl's tag ID, has my name, where I'm from, and then it also has my box cutter. One of the biggest things I use. I'm big on. I usually do a lot of Amazon packaging and self pickup returns, so I'm always big with folding boxes, moving boxes. Ignore the pink hat. That was just me having fun back there. The jacket, that's just something that I was given. So, and then of course Brandon on the far right. That's one of the cool T-shirts that we've been getting recently. It's called the Kohl's Cash shirt. It says "I love Kohl's Cash." Who doesn't love Kohl's Cash? It's free cash. So it's one of the things that we use. And then for coupons, Kohl's cards holders will get the secret discounts where you can get emails and you can enjoy the savings. So it's pretty much like, hey, you're using a Kohl's card. Hey, you're a member. Enjoy these savings. They're for you. As for the evaluation of how this project's been, I had a blast. This was one of the things that I've enjoyed. I knew the minute that you sent out kind of like the idea of how the semester would go and I seen project, I was like, oh, cool. And then when we got to pick the project and the company we did, I said, oh, cooler. So it was just a good workout. Again, this presentation was fun. It's cool getting to see it. I've been working for Kohl's for 5 years, so getting to really see like the in-depth is very eye-opening, especially because I've just had my first kind of internship with their lead program, and it was super fun. So getting to see that, and now it's like, oh, I'm getting further into business and all this communication is very fun. As for how I feel overall, I think they've done a good job with their IMC. Um, Being in business this long, it's kind of expected because of how popular and how well established they are. I just hope they continue to make sure they're aiming for the right group, continue to push out it's for everybody. Families come first. Get these things, get these sales, continue to build on the goals they had. Again, I've mentioned it. There will be shortcomings. I've been at work where there's been things where I'm like, that clearly just didn't work and they thought it was. But every time that's happened, I feel like it's been handled tenfold. So it's been something that's great. It's good. It's good to see. And then, of course, if I were to become the chief marketing officer, I would love to, especially because I work in marketing right now. I work for the activities program board here on campus, and I work for housing and residence life as an RA, resident assistant. So I love what I do. I get to make graphics and advertise often. I advertise heavy for APB. I'm the director of communications, so I do all their graphics, all their social media content, public content, anything that's just put on by APB versus like Instagram flyers, direct, indirect. That's Jacob. So I really enjoy it, and I feel like if I enjoy what I do now for APB, I would enjoy doing this for Kohl's, especially because it's a lot more money to deal with, and it's a lot more fun to deal with, and there's a lot more people to work with. So it just be a flat out great thing. But also, I've seen what Christy Raymond's doing. I've seen what her team has been doing, especially on TikTok, Instagram. They're killing it. So it's just a great thing to see, and I think I would just have fun with it overall. And then, of course, for our last few slides, it's just my works cited. Has all my works cited. Has my journal on here. Stories here with Lawson and all these different people. Lawson, Mark, Matts. So Chris was on there, but it's Chris Matts. So that's kind of awkward. And then, of course, our second page with our works cited. Sorry, let me move my mouse. But Professor Lisa, I just want to say thank you. This is a great opportunity to do this project. I've done projects a few times here at USI, but doing something like this where it's in depth, I've had tons of fun. Again, I didn't say this in the beginning, but I'm sorry about my voice. I've been sick probably for the last maybe week and a half. I'm not gonna say I'm dying because I'm not, but I'm just sick. My voice is not wanting to cooperate, so I'm sorry if I was any like cuts and voice cracks and me taking a water sip. But overall, I enjoyed this project. I hope you've been doing well. I hope everything you've been wanting to do and work on has been doing successful. But again, thank you, and whoever else is watching this, keep working hard, keep your head up, keep your faith in yourself, and thank y'all. Y'all enjoy your night.